everybody. My name is Laura Cook with Keller Williams New York City and the LC team. And this is another episode of Cook's Nook interview series. And today we have the most amazing person, Tim Dolan, with us from Broadway Up Close. Hey, Tim.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Well, Tim is amazing, and I'm going to tell you a little about him. He has an incredible company called Broadway Up Close. So he's the founder of Broadway Up Close. He moved to the Big Apple from Detroit shortly after graduating high school to pursue a career in the arts. You may have seen him on HBO's Boardwalk Empire or on stage in Once Upon a Mattress or Altar Boys. As an arts educator, he was on faculty at Rosie's Theater Kids, Rosie O'Donnell's art organization, as well as Dream Makers Performing Arts. Combining his love of theater with experiences as a New York City tour guide, Tim is excited to share and spread his knowledge of Broadway's history and stories with you. So thanks, Tim. It's great to have you.
Ta-da!
Ha! So tell us a little bit about your company, Broadway Up Close, so that everyone knows.
Yeah, so Broadway Up Close, I started in 2010 as a walking tour company covering tours of the theater district. So history, ghost stories, the inner workings of our lives, how shows are built, the financial aspects of everything that goes into building a Broadway show. And then about 3 years ago, right before the pandemic, I opened a gift shop in Times Square that's all handmade Broadway merchandise. And then half my business is student groups. So we do tours, we do classes, we do workshops, we do Q&As with students. So we're now kind of a three-tier system of tours, gifts, and workshops.
I love it. And if you haven't checked out his Instagram, I'm going to put it here right now. You have to check it out. The gift shop is one of the most amazing things. All of these are sort of handcrafted gifts, right? I mean, you're making them in your workshop.
Yeah, we have a space right next to Macy's in Herald Square where we make everything and then we walk everything up 10 blocks. Ornaments, picture frames, ticket stubs, keychains, almost everything made by my team, or we do some embroidery with local Broadway dressers. And so it's a little kind of what feels like a little Etsy shop in the middle of the commercial desert that is Times Square.
So tell us, why did you decide to open this business?
So as actors, a lot of people think our lives are unstable. With it's a gig job, a gig economy. You're always getting a new job. To me, I always thought of it as more flexible, less unstable, more flexible. Just a different adjective. And so for me, the flexible life of my actor life was if I was in a show, I had time during the day. If I wasn't in a show, my schedule's all over the place. And so I thought there's a lot of our industry that I know. There's probably other things in our industry we can monetize. And so I took all of that, made a company that when we first started was just tours of the theater district with very little overhead. It's just talking, it's telling stories, which is what we already do. And so that's how we started in 2010 with one tour that covered all 41 Broadway theaters. It was 7 hours long. Thankfully, I've made it shorter.
Do you have a really great story about a customer that really, I don't know, left a mark on you?
I have many. In 12 years, we're almost at 50,000 tour goers. And so there's a lot of, there's a lot of stories that come to mind. I always like to say, whatever the first one that pops up. When people say, what's your favorite thing? I always think, well, let me think what the first thing that popped up in my head was. So there's a little boy, his name is Thomas. He walked up with his parents to this tour. It was our Hamilton tour, downtown, all the sites of Hamilton the musical. I had a
Mhm.
lot of personal connections of the people who built the show. And so it's very intense, very personal view of the building of the show and this history. And this little boy walked up with his parents and he like came up to my kneecap. He was this little tiny human. And I said, "What grade are you in?" And he said, "Second." And I said, "Okay, so you're like 7 years old." And he said, "Yeah." And I looked at the parents and I said, it's a walking tour, so there's going to be a lot of talking. And I'm pretty
Mhm.
animated, but it's a lot of talking. So we'll see how this goes. And they said, "Oh, we're quite literally just here for him. He found this. He's obsessed with Hamilton. He's the one who told us to do it. We don't even know what this is." And the whole tour, he stood right next to my kneecap and just looked up at me the whole tour, didn't say a word. And at the end, he said, "That's exactly what I wanted. Thank you, sir." And he walked away with his family and they emailed hours later and they said, "We feel a connection to our son that we've never felt before. We finally feel like we understand why he loves this show and this theater experience as much as he does. You've kind of been the conduit in which we now understand." And so I felt like we made a family connection. This little guy now I think he's in seventh grade now, and has come on many tours with his parents. But I always think of that first tour where I go, he's in second grade. I don't know how this is going to go. It's a lot of talking. And he hung on to every word. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. They're never too young to start. I love
Never too
that.
young. Yeah. I was like
That's
second grade. I
great.
could barely like color within the lines in
I
second grade.
know, I
It's
know.
like, well, George Washington, technically. Yeah. They know everything. They're smarter
But
than
it
all of us.
it shows the power of theater, you know?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Theater and
So
history in Hamilton is, yeah, we're going to have all Revolutionary War scholars when they all grow up.
oh, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you want people to know about that's coming up with Broadway Up Close? Things you're gonna be unveiling?
So we unveiled right before the pandemic, so it still feels relatively new to me in my mind. Our newest tour is a tour called the Hudson Theater Up Close Tour, which is inside the oldest Broadway theater. After much convincing, I now work with the team who owns the building at Ambassador Theater Group and the Hudson Theater on-site team and general management team. And it's an entire deep dive into the history of the oldest Broadway theater. The original owner passed away on the Titanic. His wife survives and becomes the first female theater owner in Broadway history. The entire lobby is Tiffany glass. It's where the Tonight Show started. It's where Elvis was discovered. It's where Barbra Streisand was discovered. It's where The Price is Right started. There's an entire apartment at the top of the theater. So when it comes to real estate, there's just an 8-bedroom,
Mhm.
2-bath apartment up top that's been empty since 1992. So the stories, the tour writes itself, and you get to go inside and stand in a Broadway theater by yourself and kind of bask in the glow of this 1903 incredibleness. And so that's the thing that is my newest thing that I feel most excited about and passionate about, in addition to our tours and gifts and workshops.
I love this tour. I was so excited that you invited me to try out the tour before you launched it to the public.
Yeah.
I came home and I couldn't stop talking about it, and my husband was like, okay, this must have been really cool. It was amazing. And the real
Thank you.
estate component of it too, with the apartment upstairs,
It's crazy.
it's nuts.
It's
Actually,
crazy.
I saw what you posted on your social media about it. It was so fascinating. I watched it maybe 4 times.
It's wild.
It's
Yeah,
wild. It's
it's
so
wild.
amazing. And the fact that you were able to get up there.
Yeah, it's the whole thing's sealed. It's been condemned since 1992 because of fire code changing of laws. But with some winking and lots of smiling and persistence, they finally unsealed it. And we're like, all right, get in there, take some pictures, and then get out. And
Oh
so it
my
was
God.
crazy. Just these spaces that haven't been, inhabited, right where 400,000 people are walking on the sidewalk outside their door every single day is crazy.
And it's right there.
It's right there. Yep.
Incredible. So I know you have a mascot, Belasco, your dog.
I do. He's sleeping next to me as he is on every one of my virtual things. There he is. This is the love of my life. He's
No.
named after my favorite Broadway theater. He is our French Bulldog mascot. It feels like sewn into everything we do. And one of our gift shop things that we sell is handmade dog bandanas. That is a textile using our Broadway design that I have custom print. And then my mom sews all of our dog bandanas. So if you have a pet in your life, if you're looking for something, you want to support some artists, check out our dog bandanas at BroadwayGiftShop.com. Thank you.
Well, this has been so great, Tim. Thank you so much for your time. If you are finding yourself in New York City, you must check out Broadway Up Close. See multiple tours, the Hamilton tour, the Hudson Theater tour. Take a look at the gift shop. It's all amazing. So
Thank
thanks,
you.
Tim. Looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. We'll see you in Times Square.
Awesome. Bye. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Broadway Up Close. And of course, if you have any questions about real estate, please reach out. Join us next week when we interview Upper West Side jewelry designer Laura Cass. See you next time.